Hey guys, and welcome back to the GuideTech Podcast number 4. Thank you again for joining us. Today I'm joined by Logan Meaux, CEO and founder of Mallard Bay, and I am Garrett Shackelford, the VP of Marketing here. Today we're going to be talking about offers. Logan, before we get kicked off, how you doing, man?
Doing well. Just glad to be here with you, man. You big cheesy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Always smiling for the crowd.
The intros always get me, man. I get a little nervous every time. Even though we said in the last podcast, there might be like one or two people, like my wife and my mom, that watch this podcast, but I still get nervous. So, but no, I'm happy to be here, man. I was just on the road and visited one of our outfitters, Skiing Gun Dogs and Outfitters with Wyatt. Had a great time with him, but happy to be back in the office. It's always kind of tough getting away from the office, but this honestly being such a busy season for us and just gearing up for outfitters coming out of season and getting ready to hit the road running with us, and I feel like I'm always getting behind. Even when I'm in the office, I feel like I'm behind, honestly. Like there's always so much work to be done and so many other people to help. So I'm glad to be back in the office and glad we're able to get time set aside to be able to do something like this. But like I said, today we're going to be talking about offers. So Logan, if you want to kick that off and kind of just open the floor up to what an offer is, or if you want to ask me that, we can dive into that.
Yeah, I mean, and I think we covered the gist of it a little bit in the last podcast, but, I wanted to do a whole separate episode on it just because of, the story of how Mallard Bay and GuideTech came to be is really a story of, creating a new offer for outfitters out of necessity. And, that necessity just so happened to be, us buying Bourbon Media and, wanting to make sure that we were properly combining and packaging the offer of everything that we could do, into, one single place. And that's how GuideTech came to be. Mallard Bay is the company and GuideTech is the, product that we're offering to outfitters to help manage their business, right? It was completely separate from the marketplace, which right. Ultimately we knew the marketplace was only going to provide the opportunity for outfitters to, book 15 to 20% of their business, while GuideTech allows us to make managing your entire business a lot easier. So, the story of how we came up with that is unique in the sense of really how it happened. And, Alex Hermosi plays a big part of that.
Yes,
so
he does.
Garrett, tell us about Alex Hermosi and $100 million offers and, why that was kind of the right framework for us and how we plan to, help you guys as outfitters and guides learn how to create your own offers and also, come to us if you're interested in getting some ideas on how to create these offers.
Yeah. Well, first off, just background on who Alex Hermosi is. And, he's a lead. One, he's a huge investor in multiple companies. He owns a company called acquisitions.com. But the biggest value add that he has outside of these companies that he's buying is he's teaching people, how to create offers, how to market the offers, how to sell the offers that they're creating. And he breaks them down in a very digestible way. And for us, that was exactly what we needed. We're young and hungry, but we needed some guidance and framework to follow. All of us have some form of experience of creating offers. I think everyone that owns a business has created an offer. But when you have a document that you can follow to a T and kind of see it visualized on a piece of paper, it helps you kind of break it down. And so he launched $100 million offers, I believe in like 2002 or 2022 and 2023, something like that. And then he followed it up with $100 million leads. But on the offer side, we can get into leads in a different podcast, but on the offer side, he truly breaks it down. And I think one of the biggest things is understanding what an offer actually is. But before we go into the offer, we need to understand that the only way that a business works is through a value exchange. And that is you giving them a product or service and they're giving you, a dollar amount to that. So that's the only way the business works. But what initiates that is that offer that you create. What is this service or good that you're going to provide, the agreement, how you're going to transact their payments. So for outfitters, cash up front or 50% deposit. And for us, it was monthly payments or upfront payments. But the biggest thing is that the offer is just encapsulating everything that you're doing for somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And that could be one thing, or it could be a multitude of things. And so for us, we knew that we had the services, and so we capsulated it all together into one service called GuideTech, where you can pick and choose all those different things. And then we have our different values that we're adding for these outfitters, but then we have a price tag associated with that. And so, yeah, that's kind of how we came up with it. That's who Alex Hermosi is, and how we kind of got started on ideating the way to push this out to the market. But yeah, GuideTech is that offer of our goods and services.
Yeah. And so just to clarify, an offer is just the packaging that could be for a limited time. It could be for an indefinite amount of time. And, ultimately it could be something that's a scarce offering to a very small group of people. Kind of as we mentioned that we have our road show offer for GuideTech. When you meet us at a show, you get a special discount because, we are, wanting to build that in-person connection up front. And I think that always helps with the sale. So it really is just a way to make the sale easier. And gives you the tools that you need to, close, essentially.
Right. Yeah. And one thing I will say too, to add on to this. So now we know that the offer is just encapsulating everything that you're providing. But there's, I would say, like, one of the things before you go into, like, okay, what am I going to offer? What is my package? You need to understand who this package is for. And like you said, and hinted at, is the roadshow offer. And so picking a specific niche, you don't have to only have one offer as a company. You pick that niche and you create an offer and craft that offer, but that offer doesn't have to stay the same. You can, it takes time, and I'm going to use a phrase that Alex Hermosi coined, but it's creating a grand slam offer, and that's creating an offer that's so good people feel stupid saying no to. But it takes time to get to that point. But once you hit it, that's when everyone's like, oh, that guy just got lucky. That guy just, he just found the right crowd at the right time. But it truly is testing and understanding what that is. And we've reiterated our pricing at GuideTech as well. We've came up with different packages and bundles and changed that around and figured out within each niche which one makes the most sense. And, as Alex says, and most people say, the riches are in the niches. And so you have to know that niche, and you got to know the niche that you're targeting and what their pain points are. And what their dream outcomes are. And we can get more into those different specific details of how to kind of break down an offer. But yeah, I would 100% say the riches are in the niches, and understanding what offer makes the most sense for that niche. And there are so many different ways that outfitters can take that. So one, off the bat, when you hear that, I want you to know that within the ideal client for you as an outfitter, there is hundreds of different niches inside of that, of customers that you can provide a service to or an offer to, and you just got to find out which one makes the most sense for you.
Right. And I think it's fair to use the example of every outfitter has their favorite clients, right, that are repeat clients that have been coming around for a long time, and you want the opportunity, you want to take the opportunity to reward them for their loyalty, right? And that is a perfect example of, a way you can create an offer around, increasing the cash flow in your business for a specific period of time. Like, the first 3 months after the season closes is a perfect time to do a limited offer for a limited group of people for a discount, right? Or, and that discount is tied to a sense of urgency as to why there's a time period or a number of redemptions, right? So you have this sense of urgency and almost scarcity that makes the offer even more enticing. It's like, we can only offer, this offer is so good, we can only offer it for a limited time to a limited group of people. And I think that's what business owners don't understand, is that they think that it's hard to offer something to one group of customers and not to another, when in reality it really is just at their advantage to act now, right? And I think that's what offer is, offer creation is all about, is it's this value exchange, but it's a benefit to the business and to the customer to act now and buy, right?
Right. No, 100% agree, man. And Another point I want to make is, like I said earlier, like for a business, and we'll talk outfitters and fishing charters more specifically. Um, when you're creating an offer or when you're running a business, the number one goal, and we'll say outfitters and charters, it's not my number one goal is to fill up all my books as a business owner. My number one goal is to make as much money as possible with providing as much value as possible so that you have repeat clients. And that comes with creating that offer and crafting that offer. Yes, when you niche down to those people that, like you were saying, this is my ideal client. This is the person I want to have. Figure out who that person is. What is common about my ideal clients that I like? And hone in on that and create offers that make them happy so that you attract more customers like that. So your experience as a business owner is better and your lifetime value of these clients that you're bringing on with these offers goes, carries on, and your repeat rate is up in the 90s, the 98%. That's where outfitters truly start to scale. And then you can start doubling down on your offers and getting even more crafty and raising your prices and making more money. And so I think you need to double down on what works, and that includes your client. Who do you enjoy? And I will say that is kind of an advantage to an outfitter who's, maybe more established and can be picky. But I also wouldn't tell a young outfitter not to do that. Like, still find those people. But I think there is an art to finding those people, and things to look for when you are starting out. Trying to find these people. And there's four characteristics I would look for in somebody when you're trying to find this ideal client. And number one would be a pain point that they all have in common. Find a group of people that have a pain point that your service solves for them. And so you need to understand what value you're providing and how that fixes their pain point. And for outfitters and charters, it's usually a fun pain point. It's not like a weight loss program or something like that, or diet pills. But then going back to it, you need to make sure that you're getting people that have purchasing power. And so you need to make sure that, okay, within this niche, they have the funds to make sure that my business can make money and I can be profitable and I can reinvest so that they're repeat, because the value and experience is matched to that price. The next thing I would say is they're easy to target. There are people that you can easily pick out and target, whether that's with paid ads through us, paid ads on your own. It's easy to find their phone numbers. Facebook groups reach cold outreach to those people. You need to know how to target these people. And then lastly, that group needs to be a growing group, not a dying off group. You don't want your ICP to be 75-year-old men that are, well, actually, that group's probably growing, actually. I know that there's a generation that's all about to be 75, so maybe not. But you want to make sure it's a growing group of people so that there's more clients and more opportunity. So,
I mean, you got to think about it. And I run into this, when talking to outfitters all the time at shows, is like, well, what if my customer is, 65 or older and, they're not super tech savvy and, well, why would they book and use this new way of doing things when I've been doing it one way forever? Ultimately that group of customers is not always going to be there. I mean, they have a finite amount of time left, before, maybe it just doesn't become a priority for them. They, no longer, able to do a backcountry bear hunt, because of the fact that they're 75. But they may have done that from 55 to 65 for the last 10 years. They've been going on a backcountry bear hunt, but you never know, something could happen. And that group of customers is now gone. And you have to access and appeal to a whole new group of customers that, will actually pay more and or want your services more than someone that's already done it, right? And so, that's where it comes into the fact of like, what is your dream outcome that you're selling? Well, the dream outcome you're selling is a really great experience where you get all the little things right and they have a ton of fun. And that's an advantage our industry has over any other industry, is that you're selling an experience, which makes it all that much more important to deliver on the value that you're proposing. Get them to that dream outcome. And that dream outcome isn't just a limit. It isn't just having success at the end.
100%.
The dream outcome is going on the experience, getting all the little things right, having good food. And this is only just something that gets them in the door, right? It's like,
Right.
Of course you want to reward your repeat clients and customers that have been with you forever. But at the same time, you want to be able to take new customers that may be even willing to pay more. So you could offer 15% discount for the first 2 months of the new booking season. And then, those that take advantage of it get that. And then, those that don't take advantage of it, then don't get the discount, because that's the scarcity and the urgency part of it that a lot of people are afraid to lean into, because you have to live up to it once you set aside a scarcity and urgency point of view. Like, if you're only going to take 7 clients at this price, you can't just take 7 clients and then say, oh, we're going to take another 15, right? They want to see, your customers, they want to feel like they got a deal, right? They want to feel like, hey, if I say no to this now, I'm not going to, you're not just going to fold and give into the, that same offer later on. So like what we do with GuideTech during peak, sign up season, we have a set amount of customers that we can take in a given week, right? When we start to hit those numbers, it's going to be that much more important for you as the outfitter to make a decisive like a decision right then and there, because, ultimately that's how we can ensure that we're providing as much value as possible by not taking too many customers at one time, and then which we can't deliver, right? I mean, that was a big thing that we had to do last year, and we will be doing it this year. And I can already see the numbers increasing in terms of outfitters coming to us, because it's demo season. People are out of the season, and now they want to upgrade their business, right?
Exactly. Yeah. No, and that makes sense. And I mean, even as an outfitter too, like, as long as you're providing that value, like if you have the demand, and I know plenty of outfitters who do this, like you're not growing a business, you're just maintaining it if you're only increasing your prices 9%, because that's on average, the inflation and cost of goods going up, 8-9% each year. If you're only going up 8-9%, you're just maintaining. And so these guys that have this pool of clients, that have that demand, that have that urgency, they increase their prices. They can offer a few discounts to people who are return clients, but they also have that demand. And just, that's a perfect example for us to think about too, as we grow and we scale. The demand for us seems to only be getting higher. And so I just think when you're growing, you're not scaling a business if you're not increasing your prices year over year and adding these offers. And there's easy ways to do that. And one of the things I would say too, when it comes to raising your prices, is there's this fear that it's just like, hey, it's getting to the point where it's going to scare people off. And there was actually a study done, and it's the idea that like by charging more, it increases the perceived value of what you're doing naturally. So even when they're on that experience, the person that paid that 15% more, to your example, they still feel like they're getting a deal when they're there, because they're paying that higher price. And they did a study, and they got 3 glasses of wine, and all that you couldn't see the name brand on them at all, but all you could see was a price tag on them. And there was 3 increments, a low price, middle price, high price. They drank the wine, and they all ranked the wines on which one was the best. And they ranked it was consistent across the board. The most expensive was ranked the highest, the middle, and the lowest at the lowest quality. And then they were revealed that they were all 3 were the same exact glass of wine. Nothing was different about them.
Really?
And so, yes. And so when you raise your price, do not be scared about that. Like, I'm telling you, when you raise your price, it just increases the perceived value of their experience when they're with you. They feel like they're getting a deal while they're there. So that's what I'd say if people are worried about increasing their prices, or like giving someone a discount versus not giving another person a discount. Like, be hard on that. Be hard set on that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's easy. The easy thing is to give in and haggle and like let the customer win, because you have this mentality of the customer is always right. Well, they're trying to get a deal, and they don't care about your profit. They don't care about the business. They just want the experience to be, what it is you say it is. And ultimately, if you are holding firm on hey, this is what I'm worth. This is what I'm worth as a business. If they can't, if it's no longer within their means to afford that, that's where you find a new customer to fill that gap. Because I promise you, there is someone out there that's willing to pay for it if you believe and truly understand your business enough that you're like, okay, you know what? I do deserve to raise my prices and make a little bit more at the end of the day, because ultimately that person that ends up paying it is going to be much happier because they paid for the premium and they got premium, right? Yeah. You don't want someone, and then the worst thing could happen is, you let someone haggle with you on price and then you can't even make them happy anyway. Like they aren't, a happy person. Therefore they, complain about everything under the sun, right? And you actually may have, you will be better off by getting someone to pay more that will be happy because they paid more and they got that premium experience than you will be, someone that gets a discount and then, you get one little thing wrong or, a couple little things wrong and you're like, well, why did this go wrong? It's like, well, I couldn't afford to have a chef because I didn't charge enough, right? Like that's where this comes into play. And we're talking about getting, the offer is to get the money now, right? It's to increase the cash flow in your business in a particular period of time, right? And that's what is the beauty of it. Honestly, it's not about, if you go at it from a sense of like, there's an abundant amount of customers that want to do what I offer, instead of, oh, well, there's only a finite number of like if you go at it from a scarcity mindset, of course you're not going to be able to charge more because you're not going to believe that there's other customers out there that are willing to pay when there in fact are, because the abundance mindset that you need to have in business really helps drive the business forward and grow. I mean, it helps it grow.
Yeah. I mean, when you're hitting the nail on the head, I mean, you do not want to be that same service, but lower priced and getting put as the least quality at the bottom of it in that wine example. You do not want to be that person. You're providing the same experience, but now you've given them a discount, and so they perceive it as the great value experience, honestly. Like they see it as that bottom dollar. And so to me, it's just, you got to be hard set on that. You're increasing your client's perception of the value of their experience. And so a lot of it is psychological, but you don't want to be, this industry is so traditional in being a commodity price model instead of a value price model. And so commodity, you're racing to the bottom. Who's the cheapest? Who's the competitor around me that I can provide the same experience and they're getting more for less because I'm going to charge less? You want to be that top shelf person. You want to be the Yeti cooler. You don't want to be the knockoff guy. And so, I 100%, I don't know. You just need to raise your prices and be confident in it because it's going to help you out in the long run. I've just seen it so many times.
Yeah. And look, at the end of the day, like if you raise your prices and then give a 15% discount to your repeat client, like if you raise your prices by 20% and then give a 15% discount to your repeat clients, you still raised your prices 5% and 5%. They still bought because they were perceiving getting that value for free, right? It's right. The perceived value for free is a big thing that Hermosi talks about, but it's actually real. It's when you throw in these sweeteners or bonuses into your offer, like a good example would be like meals and lodging, right? Okay, so if you raised your prices for all of your trips by 15%, and then you gave away free meals and lodging with the highest price package, they're going to feel like they're getting a deal. And they are. I mean, they genuinely are getting a deal, and you're getting a deal too because you're closing the sale and increasing your cash flow. And, that those things should be for limited time periods and not something that you offer all the time to every single customer. And your offer shouldn't be the same to every type of customer out there, because ultimately there's people that, they want to do a drive-in hunt. They don't care about the little things. They just want to come kill birds, and you should have an offer for those that want to do that. But at the same rate, if you could fill those same spots with a premium customer that's paying for meals and lodging, why would you even offer the drive-in hunts? Like what does that do for your business? Does that help your margins? Does that do anything for you? Not really, right? It really doesn't do anything. And overall, these are contrarian type viewpoints, are like, going against the grain, so to speak, in terms of like how outfitters price their trips now. But those that have learned to grow their business, they're increasing their prices rather than trying to take more clients and putting strain on the operations of the business, are the ones that are going to build the legacy and succeed over the next 5 to 10 years. Whatever happened over the last 5 to 10 years is, it only goes so far, right?
Yep. Yeah. I'll give an example of like one, basically going from that day hunt to niching down to a high paying client. And this is going to cover niching into a specific client and creating an offer. So I'll take an outfitter that we work with, and I hope Alden doesn't mind, but I'm going to create an offer for him to use if he wants to. So Alden's 1 hour outside of Dallas, Texas. And so I grew up in Dallas, so it's an easy example for me. But I'm not going to use his actual pricing. I'm just going to go off the cuff here. But
yeah.
Let's say he's doing waterfowl hunts, and he has a 1-day hunt package where they can come out and hunt, before work, whatever it is, or on the weekend. I will say Dallas, Texas is a great place for him to be in because public land sucks. It's super crowded. It's not good hunting. Mm-hmm. But when you can get on those private lands, you can do pretty dang good like he has. But let's take a price, and he's targeting anyone who's a waterfowl hunter, and it's $350 a day to come out and hunt with Alden. Now, low cost of entry, which means people are going to be pickier. They're not the ideal clientele. You're going to have to deal with a lot of BS, just like we were just talking about. It's going to strain your business. All right. So let's take that and turn it into a 1-day hunt and say, hey, it's a one-day hunt. It's 1 hour from Dallas, and I provide a meal, a lunch for you, and breakfast in the blind. We can charge $500 for that. Okay. Now let's niche it down and get smart about the client that we're going to charge. Let's target business owners within Dallas and say that this is a 3-day hunt package. Mm-hmm. So now we have the clients for a longer amount of time. We're able to build a relationship with them, which we all know how much further that goes for an outfitter. Yep. Let's say it's a 3-day hunt for them. There's no meals and lodging included, but it's $2,000 for 3 days of hunting with them. Now, let's say we're going to niche it down even tighter, and we're going to say this is a 3-day hunt package with meals, lodging, and my lodge has a conference room, and it's 1 hour from Dallas. Now we're charging $3,500 a person. You're not having to deal with as many clients. You're building relationships with your clients. You're providing value that they need while they're in the field. And I'm not saying that this offer is the go-to for Alden, but what I'm saying is that is a great place to start. Find that clientele that can afford, that it's growing, that you're solving their pain points, and he should be able to hit a couple home runs with that. So that's just an easy way to break it down.
No, that's a great way to break it down. And let's look at it from the customer's perspective. Okay, what is the problem of someone that's going to pay that much for a hunting trip? The problem is that they want to have their offsite board meeting at a hunting lodge, and the company's paying for it, so they don't care what the price is, right? All you have to do is be offering that to target that customer, right? All you have to do is have a conference room that's set up for them, and that's one room in your lodge that can create a 20% increase in your price, right? That's talking about like investing in your operation or investing in an offer that you know what, you are going to have to take a chance, right? But at the same time, you have people here like us that are there to mitigate the risk of offering something new and also mitigate the risk of investing in your business without a plan, right? I think that's important. Like if you're going to have an offer, you're going to need a plan as well. And you can't just increase your prices for the sake of increasing your prices. There has to be that perceived additional added value with the increase.
Yes, I mean, that's the quickest way to sink your ship is just go and raise your price to something absurd and then not fulfill on it. But I think there's the formula that Alex Hermosi has for creating value. So we need to understand what value is. We've talked a lot about value, and there's 4 aspects to creating value. There's 2 that you want to increase and 2 you want to decrease. So one of what you want to increase is their dream outcome. Dream outcome could be, a multitude
the perceived
of things.
Likelihood of the dream outcome, right?
Right. And so the second thing would be the perceived likelihood of achievement for the dream outcome, right? So you need to communicate dream outcome, perceived likelihood of achievement, and then what we want to decrease is the time delay between them paying for it and them getting some sort of satisfaction for paying for this. It's difficult in the hunting industry and fishing industry.
Mm-hmm.
Fishing industry tends to be a little closer from when they pay to go on the trip. But when the hunting industry, they could pay 6 months out. And so how do you decrease that time delay? There's plenty of tactics that we could help you with on that. And just by using GuideTech as a tool, when they pay, now they feel more confident because they're getting that thank you email. They're getting that follow-up. They know that they've booked this trip. You know, it's no more just send a check and wait 6 months. It's like, okay, I have confirmation that this is going on, and I'm getting like follow-up emails and texts. The next thing is effort and sacrifice. So we want to decrease time delay and effort and sacrifice. Another way that GuideTech helps you decrease effort and sacrifice is then being able to pay online through the portal that we provide for you, and you're able to collect those deposits. And now they're not having to provide that second deposit at the hunt, having to go and pick that up and remember it. Now it's automatically drafting out of their bank account. So those are just two ways that we can help you decrease those things really fast. But you need to understand how this equation works. And so the dream outcome, again, you want to increase perceived likelihood of achievement, increase it. And then we need to decrease time delay and effort and sacrifice. But I will say in our industry, I think people slightly understand the first two. It's the increasing the dream outcome and the perceived likelihood of achievement. And they harp on that. They promise the hunts, they promise these experiences, and that's all they do. But you don't stand out in the crowd when everyone has great hunting, when everyone has this perceived likelihood of achievement because they're posting all these reels and, pile pics and stuff like that. Like, okay, that's great. You know, everyone has a mediocre to nice lodge. Like most outfitters have that. Like, great. So everyone, if you're going to sit there and harp on that, you're not going to stand out. That's like rookie stuff. That's rookie marketing. That's rookie growing your business, is focusing on that. What pros do is they focus on the bottom two. Yes, they share the top two. They're helping grow those top two. But what they focus on in the off season is decreasing that time delay. It's decreasing that effort and sacrifice, because there are people like Toby, like CBI, like Whiskey Slews, and the list goes on and on and on of people that are saying, hey, I need to get on GuideTech so that I can improve how my business functions for my clients. And I'll keep posting all this exciting shit about it, but I'm going to also make it a lot easier for my clients and a better experience for them before they even get here.
Right. No, I mean, it's literally everything now, like for us. I mean, and I think we've kind of embodied this culture of everyone has a common goal of solving a really complex problem, which is, doing all four of those things for you as outfitters, right? With GuideTech. And we've spent a great deal of time focusing on the bottom two, and, how you're going to get, if you opt in for a new website, you're going to get a first rendition of that new website in a very short amount of time, and you're going to feel like, wow, I got a great deal because this is happening very fast, right? And the last thing you want to do is oversell and underdeliver. And I think it's a fair point to say that we've struggled with that in the past, and that's what happened with the marketplace, and why the marketplace wasn't enough, or wasn't getting at the root cause of the problem for outfitters themselves, only generating 15 to 20% of the leads that they don't have as repeat clients, when the true value was helping make their clients' experience more seamless, the communication better, and overall adding value to the end user, the sportsman up front before the trip even happens, right? And 100%. Then even in the event in which something goes wrong, or there's a dispute, or there's something of the sort in which the customer is not happy, we're there to mitigate the damage control, right?
Exactly.
We're the damage control. You have someone like a Wyatt on the phone that can help a customer understand, weather is part of the game, right? I mean, it's not always your fault as the outfitter, and you don't want to always take responsibility for the things that, maybe customers just never would have been happy about anyway, right?
Right.
And that comes with targeting the right customers, because sometimes you do have to fire your customers. And that dude that treats you like shit but pays a bunch of money every year, maybe you can tell him to fuck off. How about that? right? Like
Yeah.
you're not beholden to that asshole. I mean, it's
Yeah.
true. Like it really is a big part of the thing. I mean, you take an example of someone like Toby at Cadillac Creek was able to increase his prices by 50% by
Yes.
adding a brand new badass lodge. And the only way he was able to invest in that lodge was because he invested in us and got the cash flow up front that then he can reinvest into the business. And, it's not, there's nobody to blame but the way the industry has been for the past 5 to 10 years, right?
Yes.
But now we've got to start looking at the future of the industry and realizing, okay, well, what do we want this to look like, right? Well, we want it to be a non-fragmented, frictionless process of going on a guided trip. Period.
100%.
End of story. That's the end game, right?
Right.
Providing access to everyone, not just like the busy dude that can afford it that lives in metropolitan Dallas but hasn't been on a guided trip in 5 years because he just can't take the time to call around and send you a check in the mail or show up with cash in hand, right? Like we're talking about targeting new people, right? And sometimes you do have to fire your customers. It is part of the deal. Now, that you don't want to do that in a negative sense of like you just fire all your customers and then you don't have any business, right? Because there's people that are loyal to you. So these are ways
Right.
that you can use strategy and tactics of just genuine good business and professional business, right?
Yeah, I think when it comes to firing your customers too, you come up with these offers and you find out which one's working, but you need to find a niche. And like you said, right now most outfitters have a wide variety of clients, and some of them are a-holes. And I think there's probably a commonality between all of them that you can weed out and say like, okay, this is not a niche I want to lean into. And I will just say you cannot be a slave to two masters. You need to find one that you're good at serving, taking care of, providing value, and you enjoy being around, and just again focus on that niche and fire the one that you do not like being around, the one that tears you down, the one that makes you regret waking up in the morning or dread waking up in the morning to go set a spread for this a-hole that you're about to hunt with. Like you need to figure out which one you want to serve and lock in on that and hone in. And I've seen plenty of guides go and like make a living serving both, but that's not our goal here. There's like, there's people that like, it's a live to guide, like they live to guide, they live to be a charter, whatever it might be, but you should guide to live. Like you should be able to make a great living off of this and be able to experience it and really enjoy yourself. And that's honestly like why we're giving them the tips and tricks. We care about y'all and we like want to see y'all succeed, and we know y'all can. And we've seen so many different success stories and got to be like a part of those. And we know that we can do that with everyone. So that's why we say it. And truly, like, you can guide to live and you can make a good living off of this and provide for your family and yourself, and provide experiences for that ICP that you do want to take care of. So yeah, I don't know, Logan, if you have anything else to cover before we wrap this one up, but.
No, I mean, look, I think it's fair to say that, look, Garrett and I, we're not cut out to be guides.
No.
Like, that's why we're
No
helping in the way that we can, which is by using technology and a genuine, great understanding of sales, product, and marketing to provide value that otherwise, you couldn't take advantage of if we didn't exist, right? And ultimately, that's what it's all about, right? Supporting and helping each other. And we know that we're not guides, and we're not here to tell you how to guide or how to run your business. All we're saying is, hey, these are alternate perspectives that you should take a look at and seriously consider. And, all we're asking for is the consideration, right? Is to look into it, to think differently, right? I mean, to use Apple's tagline, think different, but it really does matter. Like it questioning yourself, it matters to the point of, hey, if you never question the way you did things, maybe things will always just be the same, right? Like that's the problem that we're trying to get rid of in the industry is this thing of like, I don't, I deserve to be tired and run down and, always worried about, if we're going to have birds for the next client, or if the next client is paid up, or, if the next client is even going to tip me. Like, you already have so much on your plate. Why, why try to do all the business stuff by yourself? Right? Like,
Right.
what advantage does that bring? In my opinion, it's just something to consider. Right.
Right.
And like I said, we're not trying to tell you how to run your business, or, telling you that you're wrong. We're all offering alternate perspectives, and challenging the way things have been done. And there's only one way to effectively do that. And I think this format is the way we're doing it.
Yeah.
And all we're asking for is your time. Sit down, look at the product, evaluate the offering, get to know us, get to know what we know about business. Because, thinking back, I've been working in business and a startup for 9 years, right? And I'm only 25. So
Right.
starting at 16, I had an advantage, right? But
Right.
there's fundamental principles of conducting business that go across any industry. And I think this is one of the last industries to embrace it. So that's why it's, a unique opportunity today.
No, I 100% agree with you. I think that's a great note to wrap this podcast on. I love all that you just said there at the end, and I totally agree with you. But honestly, just thank y'all for joining us and hanging out and listening to the podcast. For my mom and my wife that are listening to this, and maybe anyone else that might be listening. But we appreciate y'all listening to the GuideTech Podcast number 4 on offers. And honestly, if this helped you at all, it'd be great if you could share this with anyone else. That is our goal, is to help and serve as many outfitters and charters as possible. Whether y'all are just taking this info and doing it on yourself, or you're signing up for GuideTech and joining us, partnering with us to help you grow. But thank you again for sticking around and listening. Share it, leave a review, let us know if there's anything else that you want to hear. And don't forget, the riches are in the niches.